We have some big news from the weekend and the most added hitters up next on Fantasy Baseball Today in 5. Welcome into FBT in 5 on Tuesday, September 5th. I am Frank Sanford, joined by Scott White. And the biggest news from the long Labor Day weekend, Shohei Ohtani's agent revealed on Monday that Ohtani will need some type of surgery or procedure at some point. He said it's, quote, inevitable. And then a few hours later, Ohtani was scratched from the lineup with, quote, right oblique tightness. Seems a little suspicious to me, Scott, but your latest thoughts here on Ohtani.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if this oblique is not related to his arm, then it might be a season ender in its own right? Maybe it's just a day-to-day thing, but usually that's not how oblique injuries go. I'm sure, I would guess anyway, that his agent is already putting a lot of pressure on him to just pack it in for the season with free agency coming up and him already having ligament damage in his pitching elbow. So I'd be nervous if I was still counting on Ohtani's bat moving forward. Not saying you drop him yet, but I'd be nervous.
Yep. And let's move over to Julio Urias, who was arrested and charged with felony domestic violence late on Sunday night. He served a 20-game suspension for domestic violence back in 2019 as well. And Arias was placed on an administrative leave Monday afternoon. It's a very unfortunate situation. Kind of feels weird talking about it from a fantasy perspective, but yeah, that's what we're here to do. He's 97% rostered. I have people asking whether or not we should be dropping Julio Urias. Your thoughts?
I mean, it's hard to imagine he's going to pitch for the Dodgers again this year, or I mean, who knows when he'll even pitch again. I might wait out the week just to see what more information comes out to be sure, because obviously Arias is pretty high-end asset. So let's just, I imagine we're going to drop him soon, but maybe wait a couple days to see what more we learn between now and then. Maybe this is an opportunity for Ryan Pepio to get a full-time spot in the Dodgers rotation. We've been pretty excited about him in each of his last few spot starts. So it might be justification to put in a claim for him. But yeah, overall, a pretty unfortunate situation.
Last but not least, Max Scherzer left his last start early on Friday due to right forearm tightness. He did throw a bullpen over the weekend and has been cleared to start Wednesday against the Astros. So hopefully you got him back in your lineups for this week. The 10 most added hitters on CBS, 1 through 5, we've got Jasson Dominguez up to 68% rostered. Very successful debut weekend. He hit 2 home runs over the weekend. Davis Schneider up to 54%. JP Crawford hit 2 more home runs this weekend as well. He's 65% rostered. Luis Rengifo up to 50%. And Ronny Mauricio, the Mets prospect, also had an impressive first weekend. His first career hit 117.3 mile per hour exit velocity. Scott, your thoughts on the top 5 most added? Jasson Dominguez, Schneider, Crawford, Rengifo, and Ronny Mauricio.
Ooh, I have a lot to say on all these guys. So Jasson Dominguez and Mauricio, let's tackle them first. They both started all 3 of their team's games this weekend, which I think is the most encouraging thing of all. We know they're going to play. In fact, Dominguez batted third twice. Mauricio, for what it's worth, his starts came at second base. Dominguez had the 2 home runs. They're both wall scrapers, one into the Crawford boxes and Houston 360 feet, the other 358 feet. So, I mean, if nothing else, we know he's not scared up there. The home run coming off Verlander was especially impressive in that regard. But I'm not convinced he's going to be like a huge, impactful player at age 20 either. Remains to be seen. The fact Mauricio on his first at bat hit a ball harder than any Met this season, including Pete Alonso, I think speaks the world of his upside. And he also stole 2 bases, which is great to see. But I think Dominguez and Mauricio right now, I would leave for leagues where like 350 plus players are rostered. Standard roto, basically, where you have all those lineup spots to fill, all those extra lineup spots. I'm more interested in Davis Schneider and JP Crawford. Crawford, especially in points leagues. Actually, his point per game average this year is higher than Bo Bichette. in large part because there's like a 60 walk difference between the two. But it goes to show you Crawford's very valuable in that format. And Schneider, I mean, he's only gotten more productive since he started playing every day for the Blue Jays. Now started 8 of the last 9 games, batted well over 400, more walks than strikeouts during that stretch, and plenty of power. And his AAA production backs it up. I mean, tons of walks, tons of home runs. Even though he doesn't hit the ball especially hard, Schneider, he rarely puts it on the ground. So a lot of line drives, which are good for batting average, a lot of fly balls, which are good for power, especially if you have the pull rate like Schneider does. So it's similar to Zach Geloff there, only with amazing plate discipline in Schneider's case. And I think he might be a big deal down the stretch. So he's probably my favorite of all those hitters to add. Also, if you need catcher help, Mitch Garver is playing basically every single day for the Rangers, has homered 11 times since the start of August. And for his career, he has a better home run rate, home runs divided by plate appearances, than Will Smith. So it's nice to see him healthy and getting regular action for the Rangers. I think he's a must-start catcher down the stretch.
The rest of the most added hitters on CBS from this weekend: Adam Duvall, Royce Lewis, Mitch Garver, Hunter Goodman, and DJ Stewart. Scott gave you a little tidbit there on Mitch Garver. Royce Lewis, someone we also love, and if you want to hear more about him, then you can hear it on our full-length Fantasy Baseball Today podcast, which you can listen to on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the Audacy app, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today in 5, and we'll be back again tomorrow. Bye-bye!